In this video, the case study which will be referenced time to time is a hot desert, which is the Thar Desert located in northwest India on the border between it and Pakistan. The physical characteristics of a hot desert include having less than 250 millimeters of rainfall every year, the soil being often sandy or rocky, unable to hold much water, and lots of direct sunlight. There is a large interdependence of climate, water, soils, plants, animals, and people in the Thar Desert. It makes the competition in the habitats for food harder so that the animals and plants that survive are the ones that are best adapted to living in the habitat. It also pressures animals to be efficient with their water supplies, just like the camel, which stores water in its humps for more than 10 days. Soils are important too, because part of the soil in some deserts is made of sand, which is a good foundation for the roots to be rooted in. The soil that is sand in some deserts wears down any particles which keep the land barren and less obstructive. Water is especially important in the hot desert, as an oasis may be found at lower parts of the desert, encouraging some growth and possibly agriculture. The rain that does come to deserts rarely in the year helps the existing plants and animals survive for longer and sustain the ecosystem. Plants are less as important and depended on, but still relevant, as plants are used by animals for food, prey, and as shelter from the sunlight, as cacti can create large shades if they are large enough. Plants also stop covered soil from getting heated and being further eroded as it dries out. Animals are slightly more important though, as plants use animals to spread their pollen for pollination, sustaining the biodiversity in the desert slightly further. Some rodent species have been identified to be able to extract water from dry plant seed, keeping more water in the ecosystem. Lastly, people are important, as people live in concentrated areas in the desert, like Jaisalmer in the Thar Desert, so that they can sustain themselves off nearby sources of water and food instead of all spreading out and straining the landscape. Places like Jaisalmer can bring in tourists to raise funds for development and environmental sustainability, for example, reducing water loss. The desert has extremely harsh, hot conditions and physically unstable conditions, and so plants and animals need to adapt. Examples of animal adaptations include animals like snakes have shiny scales or skins to reflect more heat and stay cool in a hot climate. Animals like camels store their water supply in their humps in order to manage it efficiently and make the supply last longer over time. Animals like camels have also adapted to have feet with a large surface area to grip onto the shifting sands. Examples of plant adaptations include plants like cacti have widespread root systems that collect water from a large area when there is water from rainfall. In addition, cacti have spines instead of leaves. These minimize the surface area and so reduce water loss by transpiration. The spines also protect the cacti from animals that might eat them, as they are sharp and firm to appear dangerous. There are also some issues related to biodiversity in the desert, which include soil erosion, climate change, and land degradation. Soil erosion factors include the desert constantly and directly shines sunlight onto the soil, and it becomes dry and eroded over time, reducing the little opportunities left for life on it, and therefore the possibility for biodiversity. Furthermore, due to the intense sunlight, there are barely any nutrients left in the soil for plants to sustain themselves on. Climate change factors include climate change raises the already hot temperature of the desert further so that less of the few plants and animals will be able to cope and survive, reducing the biodiversity which they compromise. Climate change also makes it harder for water to remain, as a hotter temperature leads to the water being evaporated quicker, leaving less for plants and animals, leading to less populations and less biodiversity. Land degradation factors include the few plants left in the desert are collected by humans and then burnt as an energy supply in rural communities, directly removing the plants from the biodiversity. Humans also use up whatever water there is left in the land, reducing the opportunities for vegetation on that land.